You need to leave my car alone, if you say so. This is not my story but my friend Adam's. Adam is a retired police officer and this takes place in the mid-90s. Back when Adam was a beat cop, maybe a year or two into his service. At the time this story takes place, a firebug had targeted several businesses over the course of a 3-month period. The fires were put out but they were getting bigger and bigger, causing thousands of dollars in damage. Everyone was on edge and the police were patrolling the area every night to try and catch Mr. Firebug. On this particular night in the middle of February, Adam and his partner, Rick, drew the short stick and thus were assigned to patrol part of the area. While on patrol, he notices a classic Mercedes-Benz pulling up to a house and a familiar lady dressed in a thick fur coat steps out. He groans. It's the wife of a local business owner that every officer in this town have had the displeasure to ticket for various parking, traffic violations. It would have been fine if she were a nice lady or something. But no. Her 3 default sentences were, "Don't you know who I am? Where's your manager, supervisor? And, I'll have your job." Quote, seriously. She was a Karen before Karens were even a thing. Rick points out to Adam that Karen had parked right by a fire hydrant. Par for the course. Adam gets ready and steps out of the squad car. "Good evening, Mrs. Entitled." "Ma'am," Adam said. "What are you doing here?" Karen bellowed. Adam guessed that's the Karen version of the word, hello. Working the beat. "You do know you park next to a fire hydrant?" Quote, "So?" Karen said. "I'm suggesting you move it before I write you a ticket. I'm not in the mood for extra paperwork tonight. Listen, you need to leave my car alone, or I'll have your job." With that, Karen storms off to the house, goes inside and slams the door. Adam thought, "If you say so," and proceeded to check the outside of the car for any more violations, and wishing that being a bitch was a federal offense. As he's putting the ticket under the windshield wiper, the call everyone's been dreading comes on the radio. A fire alarm has been triggered. The address? Right across the street. Adam looks over at the building and can see a faint orange glow in the windows on the 2nd floor. He reports the glow. He and Rick get ready in case Mr. Firebug decides to cross their path. Several officers arrive and set a perimeter around the building as the glow gets brighter and brighter. Unfortunately, by the time the fire department gets there, flashover happens and all the windows on the 2nd floor get blown out. It was so hot that Adam felt sweat form on his face. The fire department need to get the hoses set up, but Karen's car is in the way. Using safety hammers, they break the windows and run the hoses through, getting everything set up in record time. During all of the chaos, Karen comes out and she sounds like a banshee that had swallowed an air raid siren. She runs over and tries unhooking the hose from the hydrant. "What are you doing? My car is ruined." Quote, "It took 2 officers to restrain her and bark at her to go inside and let everyone do their jobs. She actually listened and returned inside." Adam spent the rest of his shift helping with the fire and investigation. It was close to dawn when he returned to the station to finish up. All he wanted was to go home and crawl into bed. That's when his supervisor calls Rick and him over and reports that Karen reported several $1,000 worth of damage. Not only had her windows broken but water had gotten in and froze because it was, again, the middle of February. The supervisor asked them what happened and they reported everything. Fortunately, the dashcam caught a recording of the event. The supervisor shook her head, laughed and said, "Well, you had nothing to do with the car getting damaged, so I consider this closed." A few weeks later, they caught the firebug, a different business owner who was trying to commit insurance fraud. He figured that if several other buildings caught fire, Nobody would think he was responsible for burning down his own business. Unfortunately, Karen never did seem to learn her lesson, so she was back to racking up tickets and being a thorn in the police's side. She did have to pay for the damages and the ticket Adam gave her. Firemen actually look forward to breaking hydrant blocking windows. The fire truck in our city has huge bumper guards on the front. They can, and have, used it to just shove the vehicle out of the way. The best example was a BMW parked right by a fire hydrant. Shoved it out into the street, caving in the rear of the car. Then called for a tow because it was blocking traffic. Owner had to pay for the tow, a ticket, and the damage to his vehicle. Insurance wouldn't cover it because of the circumstances. Well played. I love it when an entitled asshat parks in front of a fire hydrant and then suffers the effects of firemen doing their job. Sounds like she parked on the cold shoulder. Karens have always been a thing. We just didn't have a name for them. Banshee that swallowed an air raid siren. I choked on my soda when I read that. Stealing. Rolling on the floor laughing, rolling on the floor laughing, rolling on the floor laughing. Sounds like she was actually providing a public good. All those tickets. Thousands of dollars worth of fines, it all goes into the city or police budget. Someone should have been assigned to just follow this lady around to keep giving her tickets to increase city revenue. Dashcam in the 90s? As soon as she parked in front of the fire plug, a little voice in my head said, "If there is a God, the firebug will strike." And then, I was so happy. No, ecstatic. A dash cam in 90s. I have seen a couple of images of cars parked near a fire hydrant on TikTok. Pre-Karen?
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Eracast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.